Hey guys, in this video I will be showing you how to download and install LackeyCCG and my custom Hearthstone plugin in order to playtest custom Hearthstone cards. So the first step to being able to playtest these cards is to download the LackeyCCG program, which is basically the thing that we're going to use to play the game online. So open a browser and go to LackeyCCG.com. Link will be in the description. Go to the downloads section and download for whichever operating system you're using, Windows or Mac. I'll go ahead and do that right now. It downloads as a zip file, so you need some sort of unzipping program for this step and also for steps in the future. So open up the zip file and take this LackeyCCG folder and put it somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and put it into program files x86 because I don't know, it's where I like to put a lot of things. So it's extracting there, and it's done. So now you'll open it, and if you want to create a shortcut, which I highly recommend, right click it and say create shortcut, and then drag this shortcut onto the desktop. I already have one, so I'm getting this error, but yeah, that's what you do. Okay, so the next step in the process is to download my custom Hearthstone plugin. So open your browser again, and this link to this download should be in the description. It should be called monkhsv4.zip. It contains my monk concept along with all of the currently existing cards in Hearthstone. So if you're planning to not use my monk concept and you're just downloading this for general use, then you can either ignore monk or manually take it out later, which I'll show you how to do. So go ahead and hit download, and I'll cut to after this finishes downloading. Okay, so monkhsv4.zip has finished downloading. I'm going to open it up, and here we have the monkhs folder. So this needs to go into your Lackey folder. So find whatever folder, wherever you put Lackey, and find the plugins folder, open that up. Now you should have a list of a bunch of folders, and this is where monkhs will go. So wait for that to extract in there, and there it is. So now you have put it in, and now we will show you how to load up this plugin in the game. So run LackeyCCG.exe. It should tell you welcome to Lackey. Now go to the plugin tab, browse installed plugins to load one, and click monkhs4, and then choose. It should take you back into this area. It might look different. I have tilt on. It might look like this, just fine. If you have this, now you can go to the deck editor, and all of the cards should be here ready for you to make a deck. Okay, so now that we have finished downloading and installing the plugin on Lackey, the next step is to be able to actually use Lackey. I'm no expert in Lackey, and it's a program that can do a lot of things, but here's what I figured out are just the bare minimum basics that you'll need to know to use this program. So open the deck editor tab and make a new deck. You can name it whatever, so we'll call this whatever. Then from here you can add your cards in. Double click on a card to add one copy of it, and although you're technically not limited to 2 per deck or 1 per legendaries, you are able to add as many as you want, but if you're playing fair game of Hearthstone, you'll want to limit that number. So you can also remove copies by clicking on their name here and saying -1 each time, +1, +3, or minus all. So this is a long list. To sort through them, if you're looking for a specific card, you can type in the name in quick search. So for example, if I want to get my monk card Brew Moon Festival, I can type in Brew, and Brew Moon Festival will appear. Notice how a card like Youthful Brewmaster does not appear here because it's looking from the beginning of the card, so you can't type in a keyword, you have to type in the actual card name. Another way you can sort through these cards is to click Set Contains and type in a class name such as Mage, and now only Mage cards are being shown, and if you want to turn this filter off, you can uncheck it. This specific plugin should come with a few decks already made. For example, it has Control Warrior, Tempo Mage, and some other stuff. So you can make your own. I'm going to just use Tempo Mage as an example for this, and now I'm going to show you how to join a game with a friend. So once you've made your deck and saved it using the Save Deck button, you're ready to join a game. So go to Preferences and set your player name. I'm going to set mine to DK Paladin MBL, and save your player profile. You can also add stuff like an avatar, but it's not required, obviously. But you will need to have a player name to be able to join or host a game. So now to get into the game, go to the Server tab and click Connect to the Game Matching Server. So it should take you to a window something like this, and you should see a list of everyone who's currently on Lackey, and if it's in black, then they're using the same plugin. So I have my friend over here who I'm going to be demonstrating some stuff with. So he's hosting a game right now, so to join, I will double click on this and join selected game, and now we are in the same game and stuff like that. Now to host a game, from the Server tab, press Host a Game. There's all this stuff here. You can set a password, number of seats, which is how many people can join the game. If you want to host it using your own server or whatever, you can do that, but that's not required. You can use a proxy server by testing if you can host with or without proxy. So you can just host a game, leave all the defaults, and now your friend or whoever you're playing with should be able to join your game by going through the standard join game procedure. So I'll wait for my friend to join this game. And there he is. And so now we are able to play a game together. Okay, so once you are in a game with your friend, then you can start the actual playtesting, which is the reason you did this entire process. So here's how you do that. First, you need to load a deck in so that you have something to use. Notice that I have 0 cards in my deck right now, and if I try to press draw, I can't because I don't have a deck. So you need to go to the deck editor, select whichever deck you want to use. I'll be using this Tempo Mage deck, and I will press load entire deck to you. You can also go to the main menu and say reload recent deck, which will load the most recent deck that you've edited in the editor. And notice that your deck is now 30 cards, and you can see all 30 cards in the deck. So now we will start the actual process of the game. So to figure out who goes first, flip a coin by right-clicking the surface and pressing flip a coin. Some person can call it. I'll say heads, I go first. Tails, I go second. So I'll flip this coin, and I got a heads, so I'll be going first. So I will draw 3 cards, and the other person will draw 4 because they're going second. Now for the mulligan process, any cards that you don't want, right-click them, send to the top of your deck. And once you've gotten rid of all the cards you don't want, right-click your deck and shuffle it, then draw however many you've discarded. Surprisingly, I got the same card that I mulliganed. I'll do it again just to show that it is completely random. Shuffle this deck, and and there we go. So different cards. So once we are ready, since I'm going first, I'll take the first turn, and I'll start by drawing. And I don't have anything that I can play, so I'll hit this blue arrow, which signifies the end of my turn. None of the stuff here that you're doing to change turns is actually required, but it helps keep track of the game, so I'll go ahead and do that. And it is now my opponent's turn. So he has passed. Something that you can do to help you see the game more realistically and to see how many cards your opponent has in your hand is to click the tilt button and then click on the board and move your mouse upwards, and now you can see an icon, which is their avatar. Since he does not have one, it's appearing as blank, and the number of cards that they're holding in their hand. You can change the angle. So now it's turn 2, and my friend has set my mana to 2. Notice that it does not go up automatically, and you'll have to set this manually, which can kind of be a pain to remember, but you know, it's good enough. It's decent. So now I have 2 mana, and I can play Unstable Portal. So when I play this card, I'm going to throw it off to the left of the field. This is kind of our discard pile. If you need like tokens later on, you can use that. So it has some uses to it. Now, to do a lot of the random events, you're going to have to use different kinds of like random generators. For Unstable Portal, you'll have to figure out your own way to do stuff, but for Unstable Portal, what we do, it's a pretty makeshift method. We go to the Hearthstone wiki, and then we keep hitting random page until we end up on a collectible minion. Again, a really makeshift method. There's probably a better way to do this, but it was pretty easy to do. Notice that this is not a collectible minion, so I'll skip over it. That's not a minion. That's not a minion. Here's a minion. So I have added that to my hand. So because Lackey's not very good with tokens that you can put in your hand, I'm just going to put Unstable Portal back into my hand, and I will just remember that this is Knife Juggler. What you can also do, I think, is you can click on a card and say Edit Note, and then I can say Knife Juggler, and now mousing over this card I can see that it's Knife Juggler. And so now that was 2 mana. I spent my 2 mana. It's the end of my turn, so I'll end it. And he's going to increase his mana to 2 and go ahead and take his turn. So he played Armor Smith. In case you can't see, due to the pixelation, you can always mouse over a card and it'll appear up here in the upper left of what it is. And now it's my turn again. He's changed his turn. He's increased my mana to 3. So I'll draw my card. So notice how he just drew a card there because he forgot to do it last turn. That happens a lot. It's just something you're going to have to get good at remembering. So let's say that this turn I want to play Mirror Entity as my secret. I will right click it and say turn over, and then I will play it on the field and tell him that there's a secret. So I'll turn this to the side, whatever, just leave it there so that they know what's going on. And for fun, I'll also play my Knife Juggler because it costs 0 mana. So I'll throw this card back into the discard, and because it's a minion now, we can use the token mechanism called Spawn Card. My friend has just done it here, but normally you'd right click and press Spawn Card. Oh no, he's actually spawning a card to represent his armor. If you're playing Warrior, then you can add health to it to show how much armor you have. So I'll spawn my Knife Juggler as Spawn Card. Then, so I've spawned a 0/1 Shadow of Nothing, which is what this plugin uses for tokens, and by right clicking it and saying green +1, green +1, that represents its health, and red +1, red +1, red +1, that represents its attack. And if I really wanted to, I could press it and say Edit Note and say Knife Juggler, and now this is labeled as Knife Juggler. And yeah, so then I'll end my turn. So those are the basics to actually playing the game, and I'm going to go through some other general utility things. So if you double click on any card, it will turn it sideways. In a lot of games, this is for stuff like tapping or attacking. You can use it like that in Hearthstone, but I don't really recommend it, but you can use it for a lot of other things, just for stylistically arranging the board. So another thing that you can do is use this scale tool, which once you click it, you can move your mouse up and down by dragging to increase the size of all the cards, which is only visible to you. And you can also use the mark tool to draw arrows on the board for whatever purpose. To reset your games or reset your hands, go to the main menu tab and press New Game, which should reset everything. And once you press New Game, you'll have to reload your deck. And if you want to only reset your deck without resetting the game, you can draw a whole bunch of cards and then simply reload your deck and it'll reset it back to the beginning. So those are pretty much all the things you'll need to know, all the Lackey functions you'll need to know for playtesting. Another thing that you'll need outside of Lackey is a random number generator for random events, and so you can use random.org, which is what I use because it's pretty easy and intuitive. There are also some random functions inside this, like roll a d20, flip a coin, or roll some number of dice. But this is for when random.org, when it's not a specific number. For example, the monk card Asia Cloudsinger, which adds 2 random monk spells to your hand. I happen to know that the number of spells in monk is 17, so I'll generate 2 numbers from 1 to 17. I got a 1 and a 3, so I'd look down my list of monk spells and take the first one and the third one. So in other random scenarios like Knife Juggler, say your opponent controls 2 minions and you have summoned a minion with Knife Juggler, so that random knife, you'd say, since they have 2 minions plus 1, since it can hit their face, you'd say 1 and 3, and then kind of assign values to each minion. 1 is probably a minion, so it hit that minion. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the stuff you need to know. Again, a lot of this is very makeshift, so you'll have to figure out your own methods of doing things, but those are the main standards that we use. Okay, so if you want to add a single card to the Hearthstone mod, what you'll need to do is first find that card. For this example, I'll be using Hilltop Sniper, which is a card I made for a Control Hunter workshop a while ago. So the first thing that you need to do in the actual process is notice that these cards that you download by all default settings from hearthcards.com are actually bigger than the real Hearthstone cards, so you need to resize that first. The reliable thing that I will use is actually an online batch resizer, which I'll use again in the batch tutorial. Normally this would be really inoptimal for a single card, but it's the most reliable thing that I know without renaming the file or changing the format or anything like that. So I'm going to open this, Hilltop Sniper. So we want to resize it to approximately 288 by 395. We're going to set auto height just to maintain the ratio. So the width should go to 291 is what I've found for my cards. Generally works most of the time. Something's not working. There's no auto sizing. So the width needs to go to 291 and the height will then go to 395. This is the standard. It's pretty close to the size of most cards, off by 3 pixels of width, but it's pretty much unnoticeable. So these are the new dimensions that you'll want. Keep everything the same and save a .zip file and call it resizedimages.zip. This is fine. So wait for this to download. Again, normally you'd use this for more than one image, but this time I'm just using it as a reliable thing. So now we have this resized thing, and here is the resized image. If you remember, this is smaller than the previous version, so this is the one you'll want to put in the mod. So control, get this somewhere outside of this zip file, and so I've just replaced the version here with this new card. So here it is. Now I'm going to move this into the actual thing, so you open up your Lackey folder. Now go to the plugins folder and go to whatever Hearthstone plugin you're using. Now go to Sets, open this up, Set Images. Now what I've done here is I've added Custom Hunter, which is a folder specifically for this custom card, because I don't want it to get mixed up with the already existing Hunter cards in the game, although you can just put it there if you want. So I'll go ahead and put this in Custom Hunter. So because this is just a single card, you don't have to do any long card data generating process, but you still will need to do something. So to make the process easier, if you name all your cards by a certain convention, then everything becomes really fast. And what I have done is, what I've decided, and what you should use as well, is to use the card's actual name, which is Hilltop Sniper with capital H and S and space, and just remove all the capitalization and spaces. And you can see I've already done that. The name is now Hilltop with no space Sniper. So you can do that manually, and in the batch tutorial there is a way to do it with a batch. Okay, so now that you've put the actual image in, the second thing you need to do is to change the card data. So in the sets area next to the set images folder should be carddata.txt. Open that up, and since you're adding a single card, you do this manually. Scroll to the bottom, add a new row, and for this mod you type in the card's actual name, so Hilltop Sniper, then a tab, then the name of the folder or set that it's in, and so I used Custom Hunter, and then the file name, which you should remember is just the actual card name plus .png with no spaces or anything, so just Hilltop Sniper.png. Save this, and now the card should be in Lackey when we open that up. So now I will go to the deck editor and I will search for Hilltop Sniper, and there it is. And it now works, and to show that it's the same as other cards, I'll use Direwolf Alpha as a test, and I'll call this test, and I'll save this deck. Then I'll load it to me in a test game, and I'll draw them both out, and notice that they are basically the same size. And I'll tilt it so you can see better. Yeah, so they're pretty much the same. So that's how you add a single card into the mod. Okay, so here are the steps you'll need to follow if you are adding more cards to the mod at once than you can bear to do one at a time. So open the folder where you have all your cards, and you should name them all according to the convention with no punctuation or spaces. These probably really shouldn't be capitalized, but because file names are insensitive, then it doesn't really matter that much. So the first thing you need to do is to resize all of these images because they are bigger than the actual cards. So go to burmy.net and refresh this because I've done this before. Browse files, go to the place where you have them, and click on the first one, shift click on the last one, open them all up. They will load in. Now change the width to 291 and the height to 395, and save the .zip file. This takes some time because there are just so many images as opposed to one, but eventually a window will pop up prompting us to name the file and save it. So I'll wait for that. There it is. I'll just save it as resized images.zip, and now here they all are. So here are the images I'm going to be using in the mod. So we'll get the Lackey folder open, and I'm in the back in the plugins, this plugin, the sets, set images, and now I'm here. So again, I could add these to the existing class, or if I'm making a new class, then I recommend making a new folder. So I'm going to call this one Monk 2 because I already have a regular monk and I'm just doing this over again. And then I will take all of these images and drop them in here. So now we have the images added, and all we need to do is the card data. So because it would be painful to go through all of these and do the card data for each one, we have a spreadsheet that will generate the card data for you. So all you need to put in is the card names, and it'll generate the file name for you, assuming that you've named everything according to the convention. So I have a list of all the cards in Monk here. You'd probably have to type these in one at a time, but it shouldn't take that long. I'll paste these in here, and notice how it just generated all of these file names. In the middle column, you'll put the name of the folder that you're going to be using. So I used Monk 2, so I'm going to put Monk 2 here, and then I will click on this and drag it down, and now we have a list of that. Now I'll select this whole big chunk and I will copy it, and then I will go ahead and open up the card data for the plugin that I'm using, and onto the bottom of it I will add this new chunk, and I'll save this, and because this is a public thing I will go ahead and delete everything I have here and here so that other people can use it. So now this new card data has been saved and everything should be working. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Lackey and go to the deck editor, and I'm going to go to the set called Monk 2, and sure enough all of the cards here are in Monk 2. So that's how you add cards in batches. So the final thing to do is, once you've added your own cards to the mod, you'll need to make sure that whoever you're playing with has the same version of whatever you're using. So go ahead and open up your Lackey folder and go to your plugins. If you've changed your plugin, you should probably name it something different than what I have of Monk HSV something. So say for this, I will copy it into my documents, and I will call it something else to show that it's mine. For convenience, I will just go ahead and rename it to my HS V1. So I'm going to go ahead and use my JZip to add this to a zip file, and this will compress into a form so that you can put it up on most downloading sites or email it to your friend. For me, when I was doing private playtesting, I just emailed it to the people that I wanted to and attached it using Google Drive, which allows you to have large attachments, but you can also host it on Mediafire, which is what I did when I released it to the public, because there's sort of more than one person doing it, and you just use this file. So yeah, that's it. Just some general recommendations. I recommend you add your person that you're playing against on Skype so that you can more easily communicate with them or set up a game, because there's probably not going to be just random people browsing on MonkHS to play against. But, maybe there will be. So, thanks for watching, and see ya.